But for the United States, I think the Olympics is more important right now. For a couple of, it's because the main goal in America right now should be to make soccer grow. We're not going to win the World Cup in 2022. That's not going to happen. We need to make soccer grow. And Americans that don't watch soccer watch the Olympics.
Hey, USMNT fans, welcome back to your favorite YouTube soccer show. It's Around the Box. I'm Rohan, and that's Jake from OneGoal. And today, our very special guest is none other than the tactical manager himself, Filippo. Filippo, how you doing today, man?
I'm pretty tired. I'm joking. I'm not tired at all. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you very much for having me. I'm not tired at all.
Yeah, you need the energy to debate these 5 topics. You ready, man?
Always ready. I don't even call it a debate. I call it a fun USMNT discussion. There's no debates here. I only debate with people that ask for Zardes at the national team. That's the only people I debate with.
All right. Well, you heard it here, guys.
You're not gonna try to place Zardes on the national team, are you?
I don't know. Is that a bonus topic? We might see. I don't know. But cool. Well, if you guys don't know, Tactical Manager, will drop a link to his channel in the description. Be sure to check him out. He does some really awesome stuff on his channel. So without further ado, let's get into it. Around the box, here we go.
All right, first topic here. So this week we all saw the Olympic preliminary roster get announced. And with that, I want to know who was the biggest snub. Rohan, who was the biggest snub?
You know, for me, it was Caden Clark. I really think it would have been special to see him in the national team jersey, playing in the Olympics, which is always a very exciting event. I thought he had an electric end to the last season. And if you look at the roster right now, it doesn't really have that many creative players that like attacking midfielder. You know, I really see him as a player who can bring, that special something. What's that FIFA trait, right? That has that special something.
Flair.
Flair. Flair has that special something. Like that's Caden Clark. He brings it to the picture. He knows how to pull the strings. He has got excellent ball carrying abilities. He can thread a through ball like nobody else. He's very young and he's very advanced for his age. We saw that last season. And of course he can rip the ball too. He's got an excellent shot on him, which really kind of makes him an exciting, let's say semi-unknown. We know what he's kind of capable of. We've definitely seen him successful at the USL, but to reach that next level, this probably would have been almost like the perfect opportunity to show what he's got. But at the same time, it's like you're taking him away from the MLS season, where this is a really big building season for him to kind of bounce off for next year. You kind of see two sides of the coin, but I would have loved to see him at the Olympics.
Yeah, who's your biggest snub, Filippo? Who would you have liked to see?
Unfortunately, mine is the same as Rohan. It's Caden Clark too, and it's somewhat from the same reasons. The team doesn't have a lot of players that have flair. Even if we go to Johnny Cardoso, a Brazilian player, his thing is not flair. That's not his thing. So we do lack that. Frankie Amaya is not really there. That's probably our attacking midfielder in that list. And I'm also I'm not even taking into account the European-based players that we didn't call up, because I'm just assuming that the European team didn't let Conrad de la Fuente, some of those guys come. Well, not at Atasawi. He might be in the senior squad. So mine would be Caden Clark. Another player I wanted to point out maybe is Gianluca Busio.
Mm-hmm.
That's another.
Yeah. So Caden Clark, I agree he may have deserved a look, but he really only has 9 to 10 professional appearances under his belt. Do you think that is enough to warrant a call up?
Want me to respond to that?
Yeah, take it away.
Go for it.
It has in the past.
Okay.
Our past Olympic squads haven't had any experience. So yeah, I think so. And he showed flash of talent. The goalkeeper Ochoa has 1 senior cap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For example. So I think it's totally fine as long as he showed flashes of talent. I don't think he would have started for this team, as you do want to put some experience, and we do have Jackson Yeo. Even Cardoso has more experience. But I think having him off the bench would have been something different. It would bring something different to the team, and we don't have that.
Yeah, for sure. I think if we're going to call up other inexperienced players, we can't use that as an excuse for players like Caden Clark not to get called up. So moving on to the next topic, and that's kind of touching on what you're talking about with the European players, Filippo, and what do you think is more important, the Olympics or the Gold Cup this summer? So assuming we qualify for the Olympics, which roster are you going to place more of your talented players on?
So technically, I would definitely say the Gold Cup is more valuable because it's an actual senior tournament, while the Olympics is nothing more than a youth tournament. It's a U23. This year will be U24, and you can bring, I believe, 3 players over 24. But for the United States, I think the Olympics is more important right now. For a couple of, it's because the main goal in America right now should be to make soccer grow. We're not going to win the World Cup in 2022. It's not going to happen. We need to make soccer grow. And Americans that don't watch soccer watch the Olympics. They're not going to watch the Gold Cup, but the Olympics will get attention and getting the gold medal, whatever. I don't think we can get a gold medal with this team right now unless we bring Christian Pulisic and those guys. So, in my opinion, the Gold Cup is worth more, but for the United States, the Olympics.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was actually, before, when I was thinking about this question, I was leaning more towards the Gold Cup, but your argument makes sense. Right now, it's just about building the game in the US, and the Olympics is a great way to do that. So with that in mind, you mentioned Christian Pulisic. Do you call him up to the Olympics? Do you call the Christian Pulisic, Tyler Adams, Serginho Dest, Weston McKennie? And, I think if we called that squad up, we do have a legitimate chance of winning. So do they make the cut for you?
They would for me, but the problem is, remember, clubs are not obligated to release their players for the Olympics. FIFA loves to sabotage the Olympics, so even if we call them, they might not go. We got to remember that.
But so you would call them up, though?
I would bring our 3 best, whatever we need for the team. I would get the young squad and see what we need. Maybe Christian Pulisic's not the best one. Maybe we have wingers. Maybe Conrad de la Fuente is good enough for an Olympics. I do think we would probably need a goalkeeper because the young ones are just not ready. And I don't know, maybe John Brooks could be a different one because our center backs, if I don't know if you guys saw in the Olympic roster, the center backs is a major problem for the Olympic qualifiers. So maybe John Brooks, but then you also have Chris Richards on the Olympic age that we could bring up. Eric Palmer Brown is also an Olympic age. So I would try to bring our best, and then over the age of 24 would be the players that I would look for whatever we need on the pieces wise. But I would bring our best to the Olympics if I could.
Would you, Rohan?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll say one thing. We've won the Gold Cup 6 times. Last time we got a medal was in 1904. So I think it's time. I think it's time the U.S. really competes in the Olympics. And look, I'm a nostalgic guy. We all grew up watching the Olympics together. To your point, Filippo, everybody watches the Olympics. This is going to be the summer of sport. So everyone's going to have their eyes on the screen watching the U.S. play. Let's do it big in the Olympics.
Okay, gotcha. So, yeah, Filippo, at the beginning of the segment, you talked about Jossie's artist starting up top as your number 9. And in that vein, who is your starting striker for this Olympic qualifying cycle? Sebastian Soto or Jesus Ferreira?
I would personally go with Soto right now. The difference between them is essentially Jesus Ferreira, in my view, sometimes he plays a false 9. Even seen him play as a winger before, even though it's not his thing. Sebastian Soto is a straight-up poacher, goal scorer, and that's my personal preference when I see a team. And I think this team, if we look at our wingers right now, it'd probably be Yuli Llanes and Jonathan Lewis. That would be the other winger most likely, or Salcedo that plays in the Mexican League. I don't see them as goal scorers, so we do need a goal scorer right there. Our midfielders, besides Johnny Cardoso, I don't think and Cole Bassett, no one else is a goal scorer. I would start with Sebastian Soto, and Jesus Ferreira could be a second. I would just go with Soto right now. And I do have a little bit of a problem with players that score goals or play well in the MLS, because the MLS is not as bad as people say, but the defense is far worse than what people say. Defense, but
gotcha. So Rohan, I want to hear your thoughts because I know you're a big Jesus Ferreira fan. So
I am.
Tell me why you think he should start.
I just think he's a little bit more well-rounded. I mean, look, you bring up some good points for sure. And in terms of the chemistry of the team, where you have players that are very speedy on the wings, that are, can possess the ball well. Sometimes you need someone who can just clean up in the box, and Soto is excellent at that. But, for me, what I think is really exciting about Ferreira is he has the opportunity, or he's really good at making those linkages around the box. Like you said, he's this like pseudo playmaker, pseudo striker, almost like a second striker, like a Thomas Muller type of player, or even
false 9 sometimes.
Yeah. But, I still think he has the ability to kind of combine around the box, make some late runs, and actually score goals. I mean, we saw him do it, for the first team just in those friendlies recently. And I think he did have a difficult season with FC Dallas. but I think he has a really high ceiling. So I would for sure like to see him outside the MLS, proving in a competitive league that he can still score goals. You bring up very good points, but hey, sometimes, you know, the Olympics or like a U23 type roster, sometimes that's an excellent opportunity to show other people outside of MLS what you're actually capable of, especially when you haven't necessarily had the best season. So I think he has a lot of opportunities. I hope he's able to score more goals for the USMNT in the near future.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see him play because, I mean, and also with Sebastian Soto, like while he has scored a lot of goals, it's also important to note that he's done that in the Dutch second division and the German third division. So it's like, is that defense much better than MLS's defense? I don't think so. So moving on to our next topic, which, assuming we qualify, which overage players would you guys call up? We're allowed 3. So, Rohan, who would you take?
You know, I'm gonna pick one of the players that we featured in our USMNT forgotten players list. It's Aaron Johansson, and I don't know if I just missed this guy. I think he's actually very, very much in form. He had 15 goals in 2020, one of the highest scoring players for the American, across all American strikers, and he actually in mid-February was transferred to the Polish league. He had 2 appearances in the league and he has 2 goals. So he's in very good form right now. Obviously, he has so much experience. You'd probably expect him to maybe be, like a wild card pick for the first team. But honestly, like bringing him to the Olympics could be a very interesting opportunity because he does have that experience. He is someone who's in red hot form right now. And he could kind of be like that missing piece to the puzzle to kind of give the young guys the opportunity to express their abilities, their unique talents, and just be able to rely on him to put the ball in the net when they get it to him. So
yeah, I think that's a really good shout. Aaron Johansson, I feel like, yeah, I don't want to close the book on him yet. He hasn't gotten the proper send-off that he deserves. So I want him that opportunity to kind of achieve glory with the US because he hasn't gotten to do it so far. Yeah. And I think he would be a valuable asset in the Olympics. One, he has tournament play. He went to the 2014 World Cup. So he's been in a serious international tournament and he could help guide our young players who have no experience in that kind of situation. So that would be, you can't even express how important that would be. Mm-hmm. And 2, the guy's a goal scorer. He just scores goals. And I think he just bully those under 23 players. Felipe, who would you take?
So because our senior squad is pretty much Olympic age, if we look at the starting lineup, I would essentially first bring 2 players in the starting lineup that are not Olympic age. I would bring Zach Steffen. I do think we need a goalkeeper right there because the other ones are super young, not proven yet. He would just be much more, and he's gotten way better with his feet now in Manchester City. And John Brooks, that has been one of our most consistent players abroad this season. That would be the second one. Now, the third one, it would be more of a depth play because everyone else, we're fine. The whole start, that's assuming we bring our best, okay? Mm-hmm. Assuming we bring Pulisic Olympic age, Weston McKennie, Tyler Adams, Serginho Dest, Robinson, they're all Olympic age. So maybe bring like a Chris Miller from Orlando City just to be the bench player for the right wing, or maybe bring a veteran just for experience. But the 2 ones I really would want to see if we're going to bring our best are Zach Steffen and John Brooks there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, both of those would be good. My only concern about these older age players is all of them are injury prone, and you have such a small roster at the Olympics. It's kind of sketchy to bring one of them because if they get hurt, that's bad news. All right, final topic here, and we're going to throw this one to you, Felipe, because you're our resident South American expert, and that is, will Johnny Cardoso bench Tyler Adams by 2022?
No, he won't bench Tyler Adams. People get it very often confused here in the United States, and I've been trying to tell everyone. Johnny Cardoso is not a holding midfielder. Okay, he's not a holding midfielder. He's played more as a box-to-box and even attacking midfielder. He was a top scorer on his youth level, scored a lot of goals, scored a goal today, by the way. Mm-hmm. He's a goal-scoring midfielder. He's not a holding midfielder. What happened was when Coudet, the manager that was Internacional, left mid-season, Abel Braga, which is a very defensive-minded coach, put him as a holding midfielder, as a backup holding midfielder to Rodrigo Dourado at Internacional. So then people got that feeling. I think Berhalter also called him up with the idea that he was a holding midfielder. Eventually, I think you'll see that's not what he is. It's awful because he would have to compete with Weston McKennie, which I don't know if anyone can beat that player right now. He's one of the best midfielders in the world actually right now. Not saying he's top 3 or anything, but he's up there in the top 20 list as a box to box. But I think eventually Johnny Cardoso will have to be a backup box to box or play as an attacking midfielder. That's what he is good at.
Yeah. So you when you watch him play, you feel that he's best at creating and making things happen and like unlocking a defense.
So does him. I talked to him. That's what he is. He is a box to box midfielder. He likes to go. He scores goals. He was a top scorer at a U20 when he was 17. To me, the backup to Tyler Adams eventually will be Owen Atasawi. That's who I think will eventually be the backup, because Owen Atasawi should not play attacking midfielder. He shouldn't be playing there.
Yeah, I with Otasawi, I feel like he's gonna end up transitioning to a center back. I don't think
Eventually,
he had.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's the issue, is all these players that we kind of had shoehorned into the Tyler Adams backup role, or it turns out they're not that role, right? You got Otasawi that's turning into a center back. You have Cardoso, who's a midfielder. You have Gianluca Busio, who wants to play the 10. So it's who is the backup? Who can challenge Tyler Adams for 2022, Rohan?
Oh, that's a good question. I would probably, I mean, I don't know. You just took all my options that I was thinking and then tossed them aside.
They took themselves out of the equation. They don't want to do it.
You ruined it for him.
Yeah, seriously.
Jackson Ewell. Does Jackson Ewell have what it takes to be the backup or even displace him?
No. Tyler Adams is he brings something totally different to the game. I mean, think about the players that he plays next to, where he's so dynamic. He's just that intense, high pressure type player who will always be chasing the opponent down, putting high press on. I don't know if there are many other players in the pool that can do that. So realistically, you probably have to change how you're designed or what your midfield trio looks like if you take Tyler Adams out. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that episode of Around the Box. Again, we are so happy to have Filippo, Mr. Tactical Manager, with us. We really appreciated you. Thanks for coming on the show. You want to tell the fans what you're doing over on your channel?
First, thank you, Jake. Thank you, Rohan, once again for having here. What we do in the channel is nothing special. We cover USMNT like every USMNT channel. We try to do some interviews with some players that I personally know here and there. Try to do some coverage weekly on the abroad. Just try to give content out to the Americans, because I think it does lack coverage, the USMNT. I grew up in Brazil too, and there's so much coverage of soccer there. You know everything about all the players, and here it really does lack. And I think that's one of our goals. I can clearly see it's from OneGoalUS too. You guys have that goal, all the newsletters you guys put out, everything you do. So it's essentially the same goal, just different content ideas, I guess.